Mercedes Östermann van Essen here from the Buddhist Trader. I'm a success coach working with financial professionals predominantly and entrepreneurs on maintaining brain coherence and improving performance. Today I am going to talk a little bit more about the Schumann waves since we have had another series of spikes between the 11th November and the 17th, which has affected many people. For those of us who are unaware of how the Schumann waves impact us, let me just briefly explain. The Schumann wave can also be described as the heartbeat of the Earth. It has been increasing dramatically throughout this year with sudden localized spikes, which can be observed in different locations as measured by the HeartMath Institute and, of course, the Russian Observatory and other monitoring stations across the world. The 17th of November has shown the highest spike this year and the highest spike to date, localized. Let me emphasize this is localized to date. It was measured at 787 hertz locally in South Africa. This, by the way, does not mean it can go much higher and has been higher across the board. So what does this mean? First of all, the Max Planck Institute in Germany carried out some very important research in the 60s, which clearly shows that unless our brains connect to the main dominant frequency, mainly the Schumann frequency, our brains cannot function. And the people who participated in the experiment, the moment the dominant frequency was removed, which is has traditionally been the 7.83 hertz frequency, got very sick physically and mentally within a very short period of time. The moment the frequency was reintroduced, they started feeling better. So what is going on today is this. First of all, let me say the majority of people simply do not realize how strong, and I would say by now absolutely irrefutable, the direct correlation between your brain, your business performance, your performance in general, mentally and also physically, is with the Schumann wave. What happens is this: when we get these sudden spikes, and frankly, guys, I don't really care at the moment how much of it is man-made. There clearly is an element of it that is man-made, and how much of it is evolutionary. There's also a large element of an evolutionary impulse we are dealing with here. It doesn't matter. We have to look at the impact on our brains, on our performance, and understand that every time when the Schumann waves hit, you will be affected. Why is this so? Well, first of all, energy is non-local. When the Schumann wave spikes in a certain part of the world and retains these high levels for hours, in this case, actually, it's been retained at very high levels for nearly two days, 36 hours, the impact will be felt across the earth wherever you are. What makes it worse is if you are spending a lot of time on your computer and working a lot with electronic equipment, and let's face it, most of us are. Anybody who sits in an office spending their day in front of wireless communication via computers, mobile phones, iPads, you name it, will feel the impact more. And there are several ways in which you're going to feel it. The first thing is you're going to notice a bit of brain fog, a greater than normal difficulty to focus. The feeling of being disoriented is very real. That is directly associated to higher levels of anxiety and fear, even aggression and anger. And you get, we talked about this before, a crossover of timelines. Now, You may think this is all pretty, esoteric and way out stuff. Well, actually, it is not. We are talking quantum physics here. The things I am discussing with you are very, very real. I have done a lot of research in this. The main subjects of my research, particularly this year, have been my clients, my private coaching clients, who incidentally all have been learning ways of mitigating the impact. And by the way, there is no such thing of completely eliminating the impact on our brains. Why? Because the moment the Schumann wave hits, it's a little bit like your GPS on your car. If it's tuned to London and you suddenly change your mind and you decide to go to Manchester instead, there is going to be a lag time. It takes the GPS time to readjust. The better your GPS is, of course, the faster it will make the new connection, and everything is fine or relatively fine again. Now, this is exactly the same with your brain. Fact is, most of us are using incredibly cheap GPSs. What do I mean by that? Our brains have, by and large, not been trained to deal with this. So as a result, things are getting very, very uncomfortable when these spikes hit. People are caught totally unaware. How do I know this? A, because it's affected me. I know this with the research I've done with my clients, where we have compared dates, and I can show you the research and prove to you that there is absolutely an irrefutable correlation between the Schumann wave spikes and trading performance, work performance, anxiety, and even illness. What is happening is this: when we are out of this connection, similar to what was proven in the 60s by scientists of the Max Planck Institute in Germany, who did a lot of experiments with the Schumann waves. The moment the dominant Schumann wave, which then was 7.83 hertz, was withdrawn, people started feeling ill. Dysfunctional behavior set in very quickly, and the moment the dominant Schumann wave of 7.83 hertz was reintroduced, people started recovering and regaining their normal brain function. Now, of course, we know certainly throughout this year the energies have sped up, the magnetic field is altering. We appear to be operating at approximately 16 hertz at the moment as a dominant frequency. I have to say it varies from where it's being measured. So in truth, it's very, very difficult to be absolutely accurate about the levels because they are such variations. We do know, though, that when these spikes happen, everything goes into chaos. Our brains have no orientation. As I said, if you have your GPS that is set to London, you change it to Manchester, it takes time to adjust. And here is the rub. The moment it's adjusted to the new location, the GPS is changed back to London, but maybe Heathrow Airport in London. And this is exactly what your brain is having to deal with. So you get this increasingly uncomfortable sense of overwhelm and being out of balance, being out of kilter whilst the spikes are going on, and a few days in the aftermath. This is similar to the GPS recalibrating itself, finding a new orientation point to connect to, through which it can channel its information. And, then you have the situation just before you are kind of realigned again, things go almost back to where they were before. As I said, the location now is London, but it's Heathrow Airport. So you are having to again recalibrate. For the brain, this means it has to become comfortable with a slightly different frequency upon which different information resides. So, of course, the question everybody is asking, what the heck are we going to do about it? Particularly in view of the fact that this situation is not going to change fast. I can assure you of that. I know that only because reading the charts, you look at the trend, things will continue. Scientists have said certainly throughout 2018 and beyond, this is going to be a fact of life we will have to live with, maybe even longer than that. It's mute to speculate. So, what we need to do is train our brains to get into coherence as quickly as possible. We have to train our brains also to become more sensitive to the energetic feeling of the energy around this. And you can learn how to do this. And let me tell you, if you learn how to do this, you are going to have immense advantages in your entire modus operandi, be that you are a trader or an entrepreneur, because you will learn to feel when the energy changes and when something is out of alignment, and if nothing else, okay, now is the time not to move ahead full steam, need to backpedal a little bit, allow things to settle, and so on and so forth. The next thing you do, you learn to meditate. You learn a very specific form of meditation in particular, and that is the transformational guided meditations, which I teach in. You can actually subscribe to a monthly subscription where I meditate with a group of people online. It comes always with a little tutorial where I talk about what's been happening, in the fortnight between the meditation. So it's very educational, and it will get you into a feeling of what this particular type of meditation is all about. By the way, it's not to be confused with transcendental meditation and similar types of meditation which are out there. This one is a much more focused form of meditation, and if you keep doing it, it rebuilds the neural pathways in your brain. You begin to think differently, you begin to draw information out of the field, different information out of the field at will, because you learn to consciously direct energy. Okay, I hope this has helped. And please visit thebuddhisttrader.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter, and of course for the meditation subscription service. I, as always, love to have your comments, and please, if you enjoy this video, please share it with your friends and like it. And well, you know the form. Thank you for watching this video.